Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at review for test number 8, page 1. Simplify the following radicals. I got the square root of 10 times the square root of 12, which I will rewrite as the square root of 10 times 12. And then we'll break apart this 10 and the 12. So the square root of 5 times 2 times 4 times 3. So we have the square root of 4, which is 2. So 2 is going to go outside of the square root, and then we just have 5, 2, and 3. They don't have a pair, so they remain inside of the radical. So I have 5 times 2 times 3. So 2 root, 5 times 2 is 10, 10 times 3 is 30, so 2 root 30 is your answer. Number 2, I have negative 5 root 18 times 3 root 12. So we're going to multiply the coefficient to the coefficient. So negative 5 times 3. And then I'm going to multiply the radicand to the radicand. So it's negative 5 times 3 times root 18 times root 12. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. And then the square root of 18 times the square root of 12. That is just the square root of 18 times 12, all in one radical. Again, I'm not going to multiply these two numbers. I'm going to break them apart anyways. So negative 15 times the square root of 9 times 2 times 4 times 3. The square root of 9 is 3, so 3 goes outside of the radical, so negative 15 times 3. And then I have the square root of 4, which is 2. 2 will go outside of the radical as well and get multiplied with negative 15 and 3. What remains inside are 2 and 3, so 2 times 3. And that's 6, right? So I have negative 15 times 3 times 2, which is negative 90 root 6. That's your answer for number 2. Number 3, I have negative 2 root 9, the quantity squared. That's basically writing this twice, so instead of doing that, I'm going to distribute the exponent of 2 to each number here. So we have negative 2, the quantity squared, and I'm putting parentheses around the negative 2, times root 9, the quantity squared. Negative 2, the quantity squared, that's negative 2 times negative 2, that's positive 4, times root 9 times root 9, or root 9, the quantity squared, that's just 9. 4 times 9 is 36. Number 4, okay, so just like what we did before, we're going to distribute the exponent of 2 to each number. So I have 5 quantity squared times root 2 the quantity squared. 5 quantity squared is 25 times root 2, or root 2 the quantity squared is just 2. And then we have this times 121. So times the root 121. So 121 is a perfect square. If I were to take the square root of 121, that's just 11. So you're basically replacing the square root of 121 by this number. So 25 times 2 times 11 is 550. Number 5, 6 root 8 divided by root 3. Notice that we have a radical in the denominator. You cannot have that. So you need to do something called rationalizing denominator, where you multiply the bottom and the top by that radical sign. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by root 3, and I'm going to multiply the top by root 3. And since we are multiplying fractions, we multiply across. You do not cross multiply. We only cross multiply if there's an equal sign. So, and when we have an x involved. So let's multiply across. We have root 3 times root 3. That's root 3 the quantity squared. That's just 3. And then I have 6 times 1, that's 6. I'm just multiplying the coefficient to the coefficient, and now I'm going to multiply the radicand to the radicand. So root 8 times root 3 is root 8 times 3. Notice that if I were to ignore this, we have 6 divided by 3. So I can go ahead and simplify the fraction. That's just going to be 2 root 8 root 3. So now I need to simplify this, which is 2 root 4 times 2 root 3. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. 2 goes on the outside of the radical. So 2 times 2 root 2 times 3. So 4 root 6. That's your answer. Number 6, we're going to multiply. We have two binomials, and I'm going to FOIL. FOIL means first, outer, inner, last. So I'm going to multiply the first, then the outer, then the inner, and there's the last. So x times x is x squared. X times positive 4 is positive 4x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And then negative 3 times positive 4 is negative 12. Don't forget to combine the like terms. So you have x squared minus, x squared plus x minus 12. Number 7. We have 3x times 4x. 3 times 4 is 12. X times x is x squared. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. Negative 1 times positive 4x is negative 4x. And then negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. This is where I'm going to combine the like terms. 12x squared minus 10x plus 2. Here I'm going to solve by factoring, so there should be a equals 0 here. There shouldn't just be an x squared minus 7x plus 12, but make sure you set that equal to 0 when you have that sort of problem. Okay, so let me go ahead and first of all, notice that this is in form ax squared plus bx plus c. So I can go ahead and draw my x. A is 1, b is negative 7, c is 12. C is going to go up top, and then b is going to go on, it's going to be the bottom. So I need two numbers that multiply together will give me 12 and add up to negative 7. So I'm thinking negative 4 and negative 3. So I write x minus 4 times x minus 3. And don't forget to set that equal to 0. So x is equal to 4, x is equal to 3. So you have this x minus 4 equal to 0. Solve for x. You should get x equals 4. And then you take this expression, set that equal to 0. Solve for x, you should get x equals 3. Okay, so 8a squared minus 24a equals 144. Make sure that one side is 0 when you're solving. So you need to subtract both sides by 144. You have 8a squared minus 24a minus 144 equals 0. The GCF will be 8, so I'm going to factor the 8 out of this trinomial. So it's 8 times a squared minus 3a minus 18. And you're going to equal that to 0. Focus on this. This is where you're going to use the x method. So you should have negative 18 up top and negative 3 on the bottom. So what are the two numbers that multiply together will give you negative 18 but add up to negative 3? I'm going to use my calculator trick. You should know that c is negative 18. So you're going to do negative 18 divided by x. And then you're going to do negative 18 divided by x plus x. So you're going to press second graph, and then you're going to scroll down or scroll up, and you're going to look for negative 3 on y2. there it is. So your two factors are 3 and -6. 3 times -6 is -18, and 3 plus -6 is -3. So x plus 3 times x minus 6 equals 0. And then there's that 8, but we really don't care about that 8. So x is equal to -3, and then x is equal to 6. Those are your two answers. But I realize we're using the variable a, so a is equal to -3 and a is equal to 6. Okay, this one, let's go ahead and subtract both sides by 196. You have 36p squared minus 196 equals 0. These are difference of two squares. So I have 6p let's see, 6p plus, what's the square root of 196? That's 14. 6p plus 14 times 6p minus 14. And then, okay, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to do 6p plus 14 equals 0. Subtract both sides by 14. So 6p is equal to -14. Divide both sides by 6. P is equal to, well, I can reduce -14 over 6. That's going to be -7 over 6. And over here, I'm going to assume that's positive 7 over 6. So let me go ahead and verify. 6p minus 14 is equal to 0. 6p equals 14. Divide both sides by 6. P is equal to 7 over 6. So we have a plus and a minus. Okay, so those are your two answers. You can also do something like this. You have 36p squared equals 196. Divide both sides by 36. So p squared equals 196 over 36. Take the square root. So p is equal to plus or minus, the square root of 196 is 14 over, the square root of 36 is 6, but you know that this can be simplified, so your answer is plus or minus 7 over, this -14 over 6 reduces to -7 over 3. And then this over here should be 7 over 3 as well. 14 over 6 simplifies to 7/3. So this should be plus or minus 7/3 as well. Okay? There you go. Use the Pythagorean theorem to find the values of the given variable. Okay, you have a right triangle. And if you're given a right triangle, you're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is really easy to identify because it's across from the 90-degree angle. So let's go plug it in. So you have 5 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. 5 squared is 25 plus 12 squared is 144. That's equal to c squared. And that's going to give you 25 plus 144 is 169 equals c squared. Take the square root. C is equal to 13. And by the way, 5, 12, 13 is a triple. Number 12, you have an expression here, a variable here, and then that's the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90-degree angle. So again, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this is c, so that's 5 squared here. And you have x minus 1 quantity squared plus x squared. Well, x minus 1 quantity squared, that's x squared minus 2x plus 1. So x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus x squared equals 25. How many x squares do we have? We have 2 x squares. So 2x squares minus 2x plus 1 equals 25. subtract both sides by 25 so that we can solve for the variable. 2x squared minus 2x minus 24 equals 0. What do 2, negative 2, and negative 24 have in common? Well, 2 goes into all of those numbers, so factor the 2 out. 2 times x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. Focus on this. This is a trinomial, which we're going to use the x method for. Negative 12 goes up top, negative 1 goes on the bottom. What two numbers multiply together will give me negative 12 and add to negative 1. I'm thinking negative 4 and 3, so 2 times x minus 4 times x plus 3 equals 0, so x equals 4, x equals negative 3. But what is the right answer? Your answer is x equals 4, because if we plug that in, you'll have a positive side here and a positive side there. But if you plug this in, you're going to have a negative side, which doesn't make any sense. There's no such thing as a negative side or a negative length. When I'm talking about negative side, we're talking about, the context. We're talking about the length of the side, okay? All right, that's it for page 1.